Kendo, thanks very much for sitting down and talking about the season so far. So how do you feel it's been?
So far, up and down, mate. If I'm being honest, thought the start was great. Obviously, I think it was 6 out of 6, and then we went to Neilston and performed like we'd never seen a ball before. So that was disappointing, but that kind of showed a wee weakness in us because I think that was September weekend. We had 4 or 5 boys are missing away for the weekend and all that carry on, which is absolutely no good enough. Put an end to our run, and then we get to a point where we have to put Simo on the bench. I've got a 19-year-old boy that we just signed for Ashfield. I've had to fling him in the mix, and if I'm being honest, mate, that wasn't a good watch. That game absolutely horrified us. But up until then, we couldn't say a bad word about the boys. They've been brilliant. The first 6 games coming this league, any team that goes in this league and wins 6 at any time in the league is doing really well. So we were delighted with how it went. We had to compensate a bit for the boys that were missing for the Neilston game, but I still think we could have performed better on the day at Neilston. Some boys weren't getting enough from me, and I let them know that. Aye, so then I think after that we came back with a good victory. After the Neilston game, we made it up for a bit of recovery. So we're good at this though. The teams were notoriously good for this, where if we get a bad result, we come out and show a good performance in the next one and show that what we're made of. My issue with that is we can't have that inconsistency to a point where we perform with 6 wins and then you have an absolute horror show. That's frustrating from a coaching point of view. That's a frustrating thing for me because I'm showing my loyalty to players who have shown good performances, but then they perform like that on the one day. And it's like I said, the performance at Neilston has been my worst this season. I know there's been a couple of other results that weren't great, but the Neilston one was, for me, I didn't think people were running, and I didn't think people were challenging when they should have. Even though the squad was light, I wanted more for what we had. So that was disappointing. But we then picked it up again, and we've been doing all right. Obviously, there's a couple of brilliant performances in there through the season. And at the start of the season, I mean, I think we started off when Peter Saul came here and they were 2-0 up in the first 20 minutes and we couldn't get a grip of the ball. And then we worked it out. And then when we worked it out, we went to 5. I think it was 5-2, and it could have been more. I think anybody on the day would have said it could have been 7, 8, 9 or 10. And nobody would have said anything about it. The flip side of that is we then go to Peter Saul not so long ago and we have another Neilston day. And again, I go back to the coaching for that. We can't legislate for players no turning up on the day. But we need to be open to it. The unprofessional football players, they've all got lives outside football. They can be having bad weeks. We need to just lift them again and go again when this happens. But what we can't do is just throw the towel in because Peter Saul's turned us here. Our percentages on the VO and all that showed us that we had most of the ball against Peter Saul. We just never took our chances when we should have. And they took all the chances they were given. So that game was horrible from a Rock point of view, but the actual stats were actually pretty decent for us. It's just horrifying defending. But then we go and come back, and I go back to the good games, and we've went to Trinent again, limited players, people injured, people cup tied, people know well, and we play against a low and league team at their place, and arguably, I would say probably played the best game that they're up since we've been here. So we look at Neilston, which was a real low. Look at Peter Saul, which was low, and then we look at Trinent, which was a real high. We then had a game by Johnson Borough, who are arguably the top team in the country right now financially, and got a lot of brilliant football players. Now, some people might argue that Johnson Borough came here and had a lot of the ball. That's because we allowed them to have the ball. We were happy for them to have the ball. That was part of the plan. And on another day, I think Big Jack would be quite happy to say that he had a couple of chances in that game where if he takes them, I think we could quite have easily have turned to one of the top teams in the country in Johnstone Borough. Now that would have been an unbelievable result for us. But unfortunately, the luck wasn't the way on the day and Borough go and get the win. But for me as a coach, if I look at that game, I think to myself, in the financial budgets of junior football, if they're up there, then we're down here. And for us to give them that kind of performance and that kind of game, for me, that was inspiring for the boys. I think it was brilliant for the boys to be able to show that they can perform with or without the ball. That was how we planned it. That's how it went. And I think another day we could have been a bit luckier with the win again. So for us going forward, there's been some brilliant stuff, some brilliant results, some good reruns, but there's a couple of horror shows in there too. And if they keep showing their face, then we need to look at why that's happened. So for me, so far so good. We're sitting second in the league, so many games in hand. We can't ask for much more than that for the boys, if I'm being honest. I'm absolutely delighted where the boys are.
So before we get on in the league then, obviously you've said we're sitting second, but let's talk about the summer recruitment. Did you get the players you wanted to bring in? Or is there anything you think you missed out on that you think you're doing a job or could you have done more?
Right, so this is an important part. This is an important part for me, for the Rock supporters to understand. Like, so we went for guys like Kizo, who was at Cairn, was at Clydebank before that, goalkeeper. Very highly thought of. We get him in, and we get Kizo in on a lot less money than he was getting at Cairn. That's a given. And we don't have any reason to lie about this. Kizo's happy to tell you this himself. We then get Don McLaren from Drumchapel, who was on the maybe getting something nearly double what we gave him now. He was getting real good money, but wanted to play here. Now, this is an important part for me because there's too many people in junior football. It's just chasing money. They'll not get the right reasons to play for a club at heart for me. And this is where we've got a wee bit where we go and play with people's heartstrings and say, you want to come and play at the Rock? You know what the story is. You know what the fan base is. Come and get a bit of this. And they're happy to do that for less money. This is where we need to grab into because we are not going to compete with some of the bigger teams or the financially bigger teams. So we need to give them what we can. And what is that? That's a fan base. That's an atmosphere here, home and away. So these guys grab onto that. And I would take 20 day players all day, every day, if I can get them. It's just difficult to try and get them. Now, you said, did we miss out on any? Aye, we did. We went for a couple of players that play at Medder. We went for a couple at Rob Roy. But we're not going to sugarcoat it. We couldn't give them anywhere near what they're getting there. And if the players were honest, they would tell you that. And I spoke to them, met them, and they were getting financially paid better and wanted that more than what we could offer, which was the fan base and the support that comes with it in the atmosphere. So did we miss out on a few? Aye. But I think that's going to happen every year because some boys are just chasing cash. And if I'm being honest, I don't really want them near here. But there's a difficulty in it because some people you'll get to play for the jersey and play for the atmosphere, and some boys are just wanting their mortgages paid. They understand that a day. If I'm a young boy at 22 or 23-year-old and somebody's offering me X amount and another guy's offering me X amount, then that pays my mortgage on my car. Then I can understand how they are. But for me, the coaching side, I don't like it because I want to become and play for the real reasons. And I just don't think there's enough people doing it anymore. So we did miss out on a few, but I was delighted by who we got.
You mentioned fans. Obviously, the new signings telling the story about how they're coming in and playing their support.
Yep.
You might find some other teams maybe they fault with their own, they're playing in front of 20, 30 people.
Yep.
Might want a higher wage. How big a difference have the fans made this season and previous seasons you've been here?
This season, I think the fans have been. Listen, there was obviously when we first came in, there's a wee bit of turbulence because there's a lot of change and people don't like change, do they? That's just, everybody knows that. So we had a wee bit of turbulence with that. This season so far, for me, has been by far the best season with the fans. I think the numbers are really high, home and away. The support's been brilliant. They've been ways the whole time. They weren't ever no always ways. They're always there, but used to get wee bits of noise, and that's fine. Football's about opinions, and I get that. But for all the greatness of the fans, you sometimes get wee things on the socials that you don't agree with. We won the first 6 league games of the season, and then we go to Neilston with 12 players and Simo on the bench. And some people are commenting that it's the worst rock performance I've seen in 20 years and all that. And your team's just won their first 6 games. So we need to be realistic. Sometimes we need to just wind it in a wee bit and think about what we're actually doing. I love how the fans are with us, the new. It's absolutely brilliant. I mean, it's class. The fan base, home and away, is without, I would say we're up there with Pollock. Both the 2 Glasgow teams for me are mass. And if you can't and don't want to come and play in front of that, or don't want to be surrounded by that, then you're definitely playing football for the wrong reasons for me. That's what it's about. That's what it should be about. So the fans have been amazing this year. The support to us has been brilliant, and even the support to the club have been good for us. Really, really happy with how it's all gone, if I'm being honest.
So let's move on to the league so far. We'll focus on the league. Right now, we're sitting in second place. We've played 14, won 9 and lost 5. Getting into the details, we've got 34 goals scored and 21 conceded. We have got a few games in hand. Are you happy with where we're sitting?
No, you're never going to be happy, are you? You'd be happy if you get to the top. I'm happy with where we are. I think if you look in this league's really, really difficult. There's no a game that you approach any different for any game. And I think if you were a manager or coaching team for any team in this league, if you approached any game different, I think you would be really, really foolish. I don't care if I'm playing Irvine Meadow or if I'm playing Whitlets. We approach the game exactly the same way. It doesn't change. Every team in this, I mean, you look through the fixtures for this weekend, and I don't think you can pick a guaranteed winner in any game. I don't think you can. And if anybody thinks, oh, you can, then that's your opinion. But guys in this league, coaches in this league, players in this league will all tell you every single week you need to go and win battles first, and then you take it from there. So, can we be happy with sitting second? Listen, if somebody offered you, we're halfway through the league and you're sitting second, are you happy with that? Absolutely happy with that. I'm delighted by it. I think our boys have been brilliant. Could they have done better in the 5 games that we've lost? Of course they could have. Of course, it's no in question. What's in question is, can we keep going with this? Can we sustain it? Can we keep going to the end of the year? Listen, the ultimate goal for St Roch's is to get promoted, right? So that's my first goal. Everybody always wants to be, we want to win it. And I understand that. And I want to win it and all. We're not going to sit here and say anything different. But ultimately, what we want is promotion. That's our first goal. We want this club to be promoted to the Premier League. So, sitting at halfway in second place with a few games in hand, are you happy? I am happy. I can't understand how anybody wouldn't be happy with that position. I just think the fact that we're competing at that end and no the other end at this moment in time, then we should all be happy. And I think majority of people were fairly happy. Could we have done better on the losses? Absolutely. But there's a few wins where we might not have got if we didn't dig in and we pulled them out the bag at the last minute or the last 10 minutes. So we need to understand that sometimes you'll go and get the win and sometimes you don't. So I'm more than happy with the boys. I don't think we can ask any more of these guys at this point in time.
So obviously we are a few fixtures behind. We've only played 14. Other teams have maybe played a few more. At this point we probably should have been looking at 16, 17, maybe 18 games.
Yeah.
I think obviously the pitch is a major factor here.
I know this is a problem. So we sit here the now in the middle of February, or touching just after the middle of February, and we are sitting here and we've had 6 games cancelled here at this pitch this season. Right now, previous 2 seasons, since we've been here. Listen, nobody's going to sit here and say our part's ever been brilliant, but it's always been on. This season, we've got 6 games off at this point, which is horrendous, because what happened in the new is we're not getting a momentum built as a team. It's stop, start, stop, start, stop, start, and that doesn't work for you. It doesn't. I don't care what anybody says, it does not help. Now, for St Rock's fans out there who are thinking that we've put a lot of money into the pitch and how's the games off, we're asking the same questions. We're asking ourselves, what's happening here? I think if you ask anybody, I spoke to a couple of guys who are here, volunteers, and have been volunteers here for 20 years or whatever it may be, and they've said this park has never looked that good with that much grass on it in the time they've been here. We think that too. It looks brilliant for the grass side of it, but for whatever reason, we're holding water. And I know we've all got ideas of what's happening, but I just think our first game was off at the start of September, and unbelievably they started doing the work on the jail across the road at the start of September. Now we have a game off in the first week in September against the Shire, which was criminal. That should never have been off, that game, but for whatever reason, the top layer of your park is soft, and we're struggling to get to anything above soft, even when it's dry. So we feel there's a problem across the road. It's how we get to them putting our hands up and saying it's us, there was a problem, blah, blah, blah. I just don't think, personally, this is my personal opinion, is I find it very coincidental that they started work in September. We've had our first game off in September, and we've had 5 off after that, when we didn't have a game off last year. There's something in this, and it's causing us real issues, not just momentum for the team, because that's so frustrating for us, but also financially for the club. We're putting money into the pitch to try and keep it in a good order, and then we're having to work even harder to try and get games on. There's an argument to the Bonnyrigg game shouldn't have been on, but we made it happen. I think the game before that against Crossgates shouldn't have been on. They get cancelled twice. We got warned how to play at the third team. These are games that probably shouldn't have been on either. And again, this has got nothing to do with the money and what we've done to the pitch, because the pitch is in really good nick. It's just holding water, and it's soft for a reason. And I think coincidentally, they started working across the road.
That's something the club are looking at, trying to sort out again, communication.
Aye.
And try to see if there's any help they can give them that.
Well, mate, as far as I'm led to believe, the committee are all aware of this. They're having emails and letters and all that getting passed back and forth and trying to get this sorted out. I think what we need to do is get the workers across there to admit that there's something wrong. If we can get that to happen, then we can move on. But my fear, and this is my fear is if we don't get it fixed, it's going to continue to happen with our rainfall, because the park isn't hardening up. For whatever reason, it's just soft. And it has to be addressed. And it's no down to anybody here, because the guys who volunteer, there's guys here this Saturday there that was just passed, were here at 7:30 in the morning for that park. This isn't down to guys not putting their work in and trying to do it. This is volunteers putting their time out at 7:30 on a Saturday morning. So these guys deserve a clap. But I know for the fans side of it that they'll be frustrated. We're frustrated as a coaching staff. The committee's frustrated because we put all this into it. Aye, the committee, everybody's trying their hardest to get this resolved because it needs resolved.
Excellent. Well, hopefully something gets sorted out of that. Just going back to performances, I know we've kind of touched on it. What is the performance that stands out for you this season as the best performance for the team?
So there's different performances and for different reasons. For me personally, I loved the Petersall game because at 2-0 down out there, where it's a bit hostile and the fans are getting a wee bit edgy, to come back and absolutely destroy Petersall that day, eventually, that was brilliant. I liked that for the team because they showed a bit of heart. It was ballsy, they went for it, and they just done the job really, really well. And it's your North Glasgow rivals. But it was good because I think Petersall thought that at 2-0 after 20 minutes, they thought, oh, we're going to scud them. And then our boys showed a bit of what I've been looking for. So that was good. That was really good. I loved that performance. I then really liked Trinent for a football aspect. I thought the football at Trinent was without a shadow of doubt the best we played all season. For a football aspect, we were really good. We were quick, fast. The movements from back to front was brilliant. We looked dangerous. We definitely should have won the game. I don't think there's any doubt about it. And penalties kill us again. But I thought the performance again was, you're playing a top team. And for us to be competing like that against a top team, I thought was excellent. And then I really, really loved the Borough game for another different view for our point of view, because we allowed Borough to have the ball. And I know people out there watching can get a bit, oof, edgy, they've got all the ball and all the rest of it. But I thought as much as they had all the ball, our plan was working really, really well. We had by far as many clear chances as they did. So they can have all the ball they want. But we were at a game plan, but it was working for us. And on another day, if we take the chances, we'd have all went, that was a brilliant game of football. So Borough, for different reasons, because we were disciplined in the Borough game, was brilliant. I liked it. Trinent, I thought the football was tremendous. I thought the park at Trinent was really good. It's big park, nice flat pitch. It let us play. And then I loved the Petersall game for just the attitude of the boys to come back for 2-0 and put them in a place that day. Although they got revenge later, which was, listen, you take your medicine, you need to go on with it. That's part of the game. You need to understand that. Don't let it happen again.
And on the flip side of that, then, what's the performance that stands out as one that you look back and go, that was the worst we've been this season?
There's no getting away from it, mate. I still have bloody nightmares about it. Neilston for me. Neilston was horrific. And listen, Neilston could have been different. And even if it was different, and even if it did, Nathan gets himself sent off at the wrong time in the game, and it costs us badly. But I didn't like the attitude at the Neilston game. The Neilston game was one that I thought, right, I'm going to have to make changes. I'm going to have to turn this team around. It was the confidence. What I think for me personally, I think what happened was we'd built really good confidence with 6 straight wins. And then I might have felt after the Neilston game that there was a bit of cockiness in us. And I didn't like that, because there's a difference between cockiness and confidence. And I thought it was cockiness that day, that we thought we were just turning up to win that game of football. And we were firmly put in our place. And I didn't like that. That's not good enough. Everything I said about Petersall earlier, where we came back and fought back and showed a bit, we didn't show that in the Neilston game. The Neilston game, I could have walked away after it. It was that bad. I felt that bad about it. I felt really disappointed for the travelling support and all, because there was a lot of fans at that day, and we let them down badly. The Petersall game at Petersall there was poor for the result side of it. Some of the play was all right at times. So there's an argument to, like, Petersall had 3 chances in goal and Buddy scored the 3 of them. We've not took a few chances again, but we just get beat on the day. We were poor, but nowhere near the Neilston level for me. Neilston was, I didn't like the attitude in the Neilston game.
What's to be rectified now anyway, sitting second in the league and we're quite happy with it. Moving on to Saturday, we've been down to Whitlets.
Yeah.
First time visiting New Voluntary Park, I believe.
Yeah.
Going to Whitlets has never been easy. How many fans will know through previous years going to Down Park for that big stand? It's never an easy game. Just going through the last 4 matches we've played against them. We've won 2, drew 1 and lost 1. How's your planning for this and how's your squad looking for Saturday?
Well, listen, mate, it's the same. It's like I said earlier, mate. I don't plan any different for any team. There's obviously tweaks in how you want to play in your formation and stuff, but I prepare the same way. I don't care where they sit in that league. They get the same respect off of us, and they will. How do we go and approach that game? Well, it's like I said earlier, momentum's killed. We've just had 2 home games called off. It's not helping us. So we're going here, I'm hoping, with an energy, but will the match sharpness be what I want it to be? That's on the players now. I need to prepare them this week. We've prepared the last couple of weeks in training. We've really raised the intensity because the game's getting called off. So we've took it to as much and as close to match fitness as we can, without it actually being a match. So we've played a lot we played a lot of football in the training to try and keep us up to speed. But like I said, momentum's no great at this point in time. It's no an excuse. It's a fact. We need to go here and just put everything into it. Let's hope we've got enough. I believe I've got enough. Listen, if anybody asked me would I swap my squad for any squad in the league, I wouldn't swap it. I would keep it. My squad, for me, I think, is one of the better squads in the league. And people will dispute it. Other people will, oh no, my team. Our team's one of the best squads in the league. There's no getting away from it.
Just going to March's fixtures, then obviously, we went this away this Saturday, but moving on to March, following it, Cumbernauld at home, away to Darvel in that return. We had a really good banter. Home to Neilston, which we've obviously mentioned Neilston quite a few times. Away to Rob Roy. What's your expectations and what you're looking for from those 4 matches?
My expectations are the same every week, mate. I go here and I expect 3 points. That's no the cockiness or that I'm getting mixed up with confidence. I just believe in the team we've got. We are more than capable of taking 3 points off every team we play. But I'm also understanding that these Peter Sill and Neilston performances show their face every now and again. So the more we have them, the boys have got to learn from it, that we can't just go into any game and think you're going to get it. I expect 3 points every game we turn up, because I just said to you, I think we've got the best squad in the league. I believe that. I believe that we've got the best squad. So if you've got the best squad in the league, then you should be going into every game expecting to win. And I do. Because I believe that these boys are good enough. What's holding us up a wee bit is the momentum. In these games and these fixtures that you're talking about, these teams are playing. My fear is come the end of the season, we're going to be playing Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. We're going to get hammered. And people will say that's fault of your own because your part can't take it. But I've explained this. There's something firmly wrong outside, and it's causing us problems. So how do we get into these fixtures and the next 5 fixtures? I go and expect to win every game. Doesn't mean we're going to, but we're going to get our best shot. Because ultimately, like I said, our first and most important goal is to get promoted.
Based on the players we had last season that you still got, the players we're signing this summer, who's been the biggest surprise?
Oh, that's a big one, man. Listen, there's always guys who perform and listen. Big Kiesel obviously tries to take Starkey's jersey off him, and a lot of people always highlight goalkeepers. And if they get a bad mistake, and you can get latched onto. Big Kiesel made an unfortunate mistake at Thornwood, 0-0, and comes out to clear the ball and it hits a bump and goes out his leg and goes into the back of the head. I think the big man's confidence went for a wee bit after that. But ultimately, I still say the same things. Big Kiesel's been absolutely brilliant for us as a player, as a man, as a teammate. So he's been great, as much as he's had a couple of mistakes. He'll know himself that as a goalkeeper you get highlighted for. That's just a fact. Then I can go to guys like Dom, who's just a big leader, isn't he? I mean, same again. Big fella's been tremendous and comes in here, and you hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, he's a big centre back we needed. He's a big centre back we needed." Well, he was, but he's more than that. He's another brilliant teammate, another brilliant guy. And again, the 2 guys I've just mentioned here for the right reason. Jack McIlvaine, been brilliant, absolutely brilliant for us. That bully that we wanted up the top end, somebody that was going to fling himself about, score goals in between that. Here for the right reasons, loves the place, less money than he was getting, came here because he wants to be here. Important, really important. Then you've got your boys like Jamie Hamilton, who anybody in the team will tell you is, without a shadow of a doubt, the most skillful guy in the team. Just a joy, man. Absolute joy to be around, joy to watch. And then we've got guys who I think go missing, like don't get recognised, like Aaron O'Hare. Absolutely done nothing wrong since he's been here. He gives 110% every training session, every game. Just goes in and does the business and works really hard. And he's found himself in the team now. And what he's done, what Aaron's done, is made it difficult for me not to put him in the team. Some people make it easy for you to get out the team. Some people make it really hard for you to put them out the team. Aaron's done that one for me. He's worked so hard and he gives everything all the time. Brilliant boy, no hassle, always there. Here again for the right reasons, wants to do the right stuff. So there's no a boy that I've brought in or I'm no happy with. Listen, there's guys who have came and gone, right? That's football. If you watch a turnaround in any leagues or any teams in junior football, you'll see turnarounds all the time. A lot of things will happen where people will turn up, come in here, and I've seen them playing, and I think, right, he could do a job for us. And then when they get here, they've no got the minerals for it. They can't handle it, or they're no the player I thought they were. Now, I think people that know me know that I'll say I'm quite ruthless, right? There's a point here. If I don't think this boy's going to cut it, but if I keep him, just keep him because I brought him in. I'll hold my hands up and say I got that one running. This happens. This is football. That's management. If you don't understand that, then you're in the wrong game. That's where we are. As a player, listen, if I'm not doing a job here, the committee will come to me and say, it's no worked, we need to let you go. That's fine. I'll put my hands up and shake hands and say all the best. I do that with players. That's how it works. I'm not going to sit here and keep a guy just for the sake of keeping because I signed him. If he's no worked out for whatever reasons, by the way, and the reasons, a lot of people just see it as a player. Or he wasn't very good, or I thought he was good, but let him go. There could be a number of reasons behind it. No coming to training, turning up late all the time, bad attitude to his teammates. These are just things that come to your hand right away when I think of players. So, as much as I've had a lot of brilliant boys come in, there's been a couple that it's no taken to the team, it's no worked out, and we have to move them on. That's what happens in football, unfortunately. But you'll make mistakes in the road. That's just the way it's going to be. Me as a manager, the players as a team, committee, that's just the way it's going to be. Well, it's how we fix that and how we rectify it. What I will say is, I've no fell out with anybody that we've ever let go. It's just no worked it. So, a lot of the players that we've brought in, most of them have been success, but there's a couple that haven't, and we've had to move them on. But they understand it. That's football.
I think this is your third season.
We're in the third season,
and you're approaching. You'd be getting 150 games pretty soon, although we're counting friendlies in that.
Yeah.
You'd be approaching 150 games. Did you think it would get to that in the first round?
I'd hoped it would get to that when I first came in, because that's what I thought it would take to get here. Because we obviously started from scratch, and I mean scratch, bare bones, as we all know, as a club we all know. So you would hope it would get to this. Now listen, I'm not sitting here saying that we have done a brilliant job and we should be better or this. I'm saying when we first came in, we finished 9th or whatever it was in the first season. That was about survival. We knew that. Last year, a 94-minute penalty against Kilwinning, which wasn't a penalty, stopped us going to the Premier League last year. This season. So that was progress. We're halfway at this point. We're sitting second. Now, people will say that, well, second might not be good enough for some fans. For me, it's more than enough at this point in time. I think what people need to understand is junior football is based on budgets. And where we are, for what we budget, we are doing very, very well as a committee, first and foremost, because they run the place. Us as the management and what the players put into this, I think we're doing very, very well. And if people can't see that, then I suggest you open your eyes, because if you look at the budgets around us and where we are, the club's going the right way. Might be a bit slower than people want it, but we're going the right way. We're doing it the right way. And what else do you want? You want us to fire in all sorts of money at it just to get fourth place, fifth place? we're trying to do it right. We're trying to get the right people in, the right players in, and do it the right way. So for me, the 150 games is where we're sitting. After 150 games, we're sitting second in the league. I think that's more than enough at this point. Progress, mate. Exactly.
There's obviously sitting second in the league now. There's big changes next season. It's not just a case of getting promoted to the Premier League next season. It's going to be a whole restructure. How's that affecting your planning for next year?
Well, it affects it obviously because it's a hard one. This because I'm not getting ahead of myself. I mean, this league's so close. You can go from second to 8th in about 3 weeks if you don't get the right results. So you can't plan for the Prem at this point in time. Anybody that's daft enough to do that, then good on you. But I'm more cautious than that. So we are confident that what we do and what we're trying to do, and I'm confident that we'll get there. So are we getting the progress of speaking to players the now that we think can go to a Premier League? Aye. There's no point in sitting here saying anything different. And everybody else should be doing the same, and they've all been doing the same. We know that people try to talk to our players. So aye, we prepare. Does it make a difference to the type of player we can try and go and get? Aye, it does. Or what I want. Aye, it does. It matters. Because I think if you're going to the Premier League, we need to keep progressing the way we're going. And maybe even a wee bit more. So to do that, we need to try and, if we're going to go into the Premier League and compete, because I'm no one for going into the Premier League to sit and just survive. I don't think we do. I don't think I want that. The players definitely don't want that. And I know that the St Rocks fans certainly don't want that. But to do that, we need to be realistic. We need to keep going with our sponsors, getting investment into the club. I try and not make it about budgets, but it matters. It matters, and the Premier League's going to matter. The good thing with going to the Premier League is, if you get there, you get you're going to play a lot of teams for Ayrshire and stuff. Support is much stronger, so your input will be better. I also believe that the football played in the Premier League is a touch different. I think you're allowed to play football, whereas in this division it can be battles for most of in this division. For me, 60%, 70% of the game is a battle first, and then you get the 30% of the wee bit of class that wins games of football after that.
That's how some teams get go up for this league, maybe struggle in the Premier League next year.
Absolutely. Aye. So you need to be able to adapt. That's how, like earlier on when I said about playing Johnson Borough, I never at any point felt at my depth against Johnson Borough for my players. Never. I felt they done what we asked them and they done it well. And on another day we'd have done a job on Borough. So for me, says we can go and play with these guys. Same with Trinent. There's a difference with football players when you get up the levels, allow you to play football because it's like a game of chess. Whereas in this division, and I'm no dissing this division because it is what it is. It's the hardest division in junior football right now. But there's battles all over the place. Some of the parts aren't the best. Some of the players aren't the quality of the Premier League. That's just a fact. That's just understanding the game. But I think when we go to play in the Premier, if we get there, I think the game's a chess, that I call it, where it's more about tactical football. I think that then comes right up my street. That's where we want to be, and that's where the difference in what type of player you go for.
Already planning, obviously you're saying about next season, but we've seen a few players getting announced that committing for next season. So you're planning ahead quite well. Is there anywhere expected to be announced?
Aye. So this is a side. This is a side of the game that doesn't become something you want involved in too early. Obviously, so what happens for St Rocks fans that maybe are sitting there thinking, wonder who's no signed him yet or no signed him yet, right? So it's not about this. It's about us viewing who we think will definitely do a job next year. Who can still improve the new between the new and the end of the season? Who's still to do a bit? And again, this comes down to a bit of momentum. where people only getting a run at it. So we had lots of different issues where people were cup tied. One boy never played the full of December because we played cups all through December. Injuries, suspensions, games being called off. So there's a wee bit of momentum killing some of the players that we have not had for too long, and we're not getting to view them right. Dan Muller, Jamie Gallagher. These guys are guys who we're not getting a run at, and we need to get runs at these guys to see if they're going to be what we're looking for. Now, we wouldn't have brought them in if we didn't think they were what we wanted, but we still need to see more. That's just a given. We need to see more for them. So there is players there. Listen, there's players there, the new, who are signed. We'll just announce it when it's right for the club. And we know this. St Rock's fans should know this and all, that there is some of your favourites are signed up again, but we'll announce them when the time is right. We're happy with where we are. What I will say is this: there's not a player in the squad that wants to leave. But unfortunately, football, this is what happens, innit? We need to bring in fresh blood for next year, bring a spark back, freshen it up. Some boys maybe going a wee bit stale and maybe want to move on to something different, or we move on to something different because we feel they're going a wee bit stale, or we have that chat about can you bring a bit more again. So, there's players signed up, good to go, and we'll get that out to the fans as soon as we think it's right for the club to let it out. We just need to watch because we've got teams hovering about all our players, trying to nip them and talk to them and think we don't know. Well, we know. So, we're watching. It's all right. It is what it is. It's football. I'm obviously doing the same. I'm speaking to players, so it is what it is.
Moving on to team selection. Week on week, obviously, you're selecting an 11. How many subs you've got. You're winning games in a row, and then all of a sudden, maybe you're changing something. What's the thought behind picking your starting 11?
So there's a couple of things with this. So I'll give you an example of something that always sticks in my mind for being here and by the crowd at the back of you and people shouting stuff. All right, listen, I need to let people understand that I'm all for opinions and I'm all for people saying what I've got to say. And if I'm being honest, it doesn't affect me in any way. I've been a football fan. I've done it with my own boys and had Massey and but I heard one time. I heard one time behind me, some guy was shouting, "Why is Kieran Daw on the pitch? Kieran Daw should be playing every week. Kieran Daw should be playing." And Kieran Daw had just stepped off an aeroplane for being on holiday. So it's not always what people see or think. There can be a reasoning behind things. So it's a number of things that I work on, like and people that know me know that I'll go to as many football matches as I can possibly go to, particularly with the opposition. So it might be that I see something that they've got as a danger to us, and I then have to change something in our armoury to make sure that we've got that covered. So it could be that. It could be that the guy who played the last 3 games didn't turn up for training all week. Could be that. It could be that he was no well all week. So it could be that. Energy levels aren't great. It could be that he's told me that something happened in his life. So it can be that. It's not always just straightforward, I've just trapped a boy. That's not how we work. It's not like that. I would also say, and it is a factor, whether we like it or no, I would also say where we play matters. What kind of part we're playing on, where we're playing. There's parts where we've got boys like Josh McGrillen, right, who's sharp as attack, rapid fast. Bigger the park, the better it suits him, the more we can use him, because that's what his asset is pure pace, rapid. And maybe out there, it's not the same. So we need to try and use him when we can, and if we think he can get to the centre backs or whatever it may be. So there's different reasons for why you play and change things. It's no, oh, we've just won 4 games, I'll just change it for the sake of it. That is no what happens. That never happens. There is times where you think might be worth something fresh. Maybe a boy's been in training and he's putting the door in, and you're going, he's not doing anything wrong here. So there's a lot of different reasons to why a team changes. It's no because we just want to change the team and trying to keep boys happy. That is not what I'm about. The biggest factor for me in any game we play is that's what we think can win that game. It's no about trying to keep him happy or trying to keep fans happy because one of the guys in the crowd thinks that he should play. That's not how it works. It's not how it works with us. My whole goal every single week is to win the game of football and let everybody get home happy. And if that means somebody isn't playing because and he's your favourite, then I'm sorry, but there might have been a right good reason for it. If you really feel that strongly about it, I've said it before and I'll say it again, you can come and speak to me and ask me and I'll give you an honest answer. That's just the way it is. So the only thing I can say on that is categorical is that I never just change the team just for the sake of changing a team. That's not what happens, ever.
On to tactical changes then. We'll look at, coincidentally, it's the last game we played away to Maida.
Yeah.
You moved Dom at the back.
Yeah.
Put Dylan there, put Dom in front of him.
Yeah.
What was the thinking behind that?
So, again, this is where this game becomes a wee bit interesting, right? So, we know that Maida's got speed merchants up top, probably the fastest guy in the league. So, leading on to the game, we were told that Maida had asked for linos for the game. Now, for some people, this might not matter a lot, it might not think a lot, but for me, it matters because it matters to how we play. Because if we think there's linos there, we would play much higher up the park because we would no need to just bank on the referee getting our sides right. So, where we mattered with this one with Dom and Dull was we were playing a 5 at the back as such, a 3 with 2 wide guys. And Dylan's really good at reading the game and covering it. And in the same side of that, I wanted Dom to go in and battle with their 2 big guys in the middle of the pitch and win the first ball for both keepers, defensively and offensively. So what we had with that game was Dom going and competing in the middle of the pitch for the first ball at either side. And we also had Dylan, who reads the game really, really well, covering in behind the speed merchants. Now, we then find out since that linos were never asked for. Now, that changes things for me because obviously the meta games became a bit a thing now over social media. And it's not something that I care about, to be perfectly honest. But I do care about what happened in the game and how it went. It's all right for people to sit and say, "Oh, it was minor faults by the referee." Wait a minute, how minor are they? With an onside goal given offside when he's a yard plus onside by 2 players. We have a push in the back, clear push in the back with 2 hands that leads them to their goal. Now, my argument to this is the lino, if there, spots both of these, massively makes a difference to the game. And then we've got the absolute farcical situation of a player being booked twice by a referee who then said he wrote down the wrong number, but at no point spoke to the number he said he was booking. At no point. Now, we've got video evidence of this, right? And we've obviously got it in video and everybody's seen it. Now, people will say, "Oh, you get beat, shut up, it's sour grapes." No, wait a minute. We played for 30 minutes against a team who should have had 10 men, who also got an onside goal against us, given offside, who also had a push in the back that led to their goal, given. Call it sour grapes all you want. I just think it's poor refereeing. And then to get to the point where he doesn't send off the player is absolutely shocking. And now for them to say the refereeing board to say, oh, it was just a minor mistake by the referee. He actually meant to book the other boy. Well, really? Because he never ever spoke to that boy. Never at any point spoke to the boy he said he meant to book. I think the referees got it badly wrong and they're just looking for an out. And I think it's really, really poor for other people to now be saying it's a minor fault. Dry your eyes and get on with it. I don't think that's fair. Now, there's a couple of things in this. Linos, if the linos were asked for, and we since find out they were never asked for, if the linos are there, that game's completely different. There's a point of people thought that like Meda had a lot of the ball. They had a lot of the ball, but we let them have a lot of the ball. We allow your centre backs to have a pause, your full back to have a ball. If you then regard that as dominating the game, then that's on you. You can say that all you want. We've watched it. We've looked at the stats in it. We had more chances at goal than the opposition. We've actually scored a goal. We've engaged a goal against us, it's poor. So there's more than just sour grapes. This isn't sour grapes. My big gripe is come the end of the season. Come the end of the season, we'll look at it for 2 points. What if it's 3 points you lose the league by? That's a big ask at this point, but what if it is? What if that's the difference? That's massive to us as a committee, as a club, as players. What if we miss promotion by 3 points? What if that happens? Because that can happen really, really quickly in this league. You can find yourself flipped. What if that happens? So it's all right for us to sit here and say, people to say, oh, it's just your grapes, got on with it. Really? So the Meda game, tactically, we thought we got it right. I thought Dom done a job in there. We thought Dylan stopped him. We thought we got it right. So the tactical side of it, that was, for me, worked. The Meda game has just become farcical for me. And I think it's even more farcical that the reports we're getting back is it's not good enough, if I'm being honest. And if it costs us, again, people will say that it's, you can say, oh, he's greeting about it and it's sour grapes. Listen, everybody and anybody that was at that winning game last year knows there was 2 incidents leading to the penalty, but the ball is a yard out, more than a yard out, and the lino doesn't give it because she said she couldn't see. There's then a penalty that's never a penalty. Boy dives in the box, and they give the penalty in 94 minutes. And ultimately, it's cost us promotion to the Premier League last year. I just hope it doesn't happen again this year. I just hope it doesn't happen again. And if it does, there's something wrong with us that we think that's so great.
Given that there's no precedent and there's anything, there's nothing unlikely to happen with the report the club's got in, how do we learn from it based on your preparation? Because you said that you've obviously looked at your setup and how there was going to be lineals there. So do you set up differently for teams going forward?
The unfortunate thing is, that is where you're, because we haven't got the trust in just a referee. Listen, it's a hard job, right? I wouldn't want to do it. I would never do it. I wouldn't do it for anything. But if they're putting themselves out there, then I think it's really important that they do it to their best of their ability and they do the best they can. So for me, we 1,000,000% play different on the basis that there's only a referee. If there's a lino, in my way of working with it, if there's a lino there, we're 20 yards higher up the pitch. Because we then have full backing of that lino, that he sees it or she sees it from when it happened. And there's a big difference to this. And this is one of the reasons now, some people might think, that's why he wants to go to the Premier League. That's one of the reasons I want to be at the Premier League with St Roch's. Because you're guaranteed linesmen or lineswomen at all times. And for me, that totally changes how you play a game of football. Because we're playing a game on the basis that sometimes the refs are getting it badly wrong. And I don't particularly say that's the referee's fault all the time. I just think they can be much better.
Let's move on to cup action that the Rocks had this season. Obviously, there have been 3 cups that have been into. We'll start with the Scottish Cup. Obviously, knocked out on Kens at Benburn after beating Westlake 7 before.
Yeah.
People are saying there's a curse on the candy for penalties. What are you saying?
Oh, I think the people are right. Listen, it's a hard one to take all the time, innit? But listen, my argument is because, and I'm going to be like this because I'm sometimes harsh on the boys and say things, but for me, we should have beat the Bens in the game, right? And we don't. And when you don't, you then put yourself in a 50-50 position when you come to Pens. We go to the Bens and we play Pens, and I think Jack Nevin miss. Is it Jack Nevin? Aye, I think it's Jack Nevin. 2 strikers. Is it Jack Nevin? Well, it was 2. Dan Muller, aye. So we have boys who we expect to score Pens, don't score. So there's not a lot we can do about it. They've had a bad hit, they've hit it wrong, and for whatever reason, the luck's no ways on that day. But my argument goes back to, I thought we should beat Ben's on the day.
Dan, Jack and Nathan it was.
Right. Right. So these 3 boys I put my money on every week. And they don't. Yeah.
So let's move on to the South Challenge Cup. Again, we ended up with Trinent. As many seasons we've had them. Again,
yeah.
We've lost again on Pens.
And
we've lost here on Pens, we've lost there on Pens.
And again,
the curse is looking pretty
aye. And again, I say the same thing again. And I think any St Rock's fan that was at the game in Trinent actually said it is after the game and all. We should have won the game. We got to win the game. And this comes back to this. If we're not clinical enough in the game, then this is what can happen. And then, is there an argument to we weren't clinical enough in the game to win the game, and then we're not clinical enough again with penalties? So, this is something we need to look at as a whole, is why we not so clinical enough. That needs to be addressed. Well, there's no getting away from it. I think we're at, I think at the Trinent point, I think I'm not sure, I'm no one for the stats, lads, and keeping a note of this, but I'm sure somebody said in the last 8 penalties, we've missed like 7. Like, we're no scoring penalties. As a manager, I just want the grunt to open up and swallow me and not let it happen. But then I need to stand tall for the boys because I've got their back at all times. At all times. I think the only one time I've really went for them this year was that Nielsen game I go back to. Peter Saudi got a wee bit here. But you try and back them, and I'm not going to go for them on the back of missing a penalty. I'm not. I want them to go up and step up again and do it again, and hopefully they get better. But we're definitely having an issue with penalties, but that's for sure.
We can see that's obviously where we put it, and obviously it's unfortunate we lost that game, but that was the 5th round.
Yeah.
Obviously getting to that point, you beat Perthshire 10-0.
Yeah.
You go past Crossgate and you put in Bonnie Rose.
Yeah.
It's not an easy route to get to that point in the first instance. What would you say was the game in the cup for that one?
Bonnie Rose was a funny one because we didn't. I mean, again, I said it earlier about when we were talking about the park. The Bonnie Rose game probably shouldn't have been played. The park was very, very, very fortunate to be on. The referee, right up to kicker, was still considering pulling it off. So it was boggy. And then we didn't know what we were playing because we knew that Bonnyrigg were playing Trinent on the Tuesday night in the league fixture, which was massive to both clubs. So we weren't sure. And then we started to look through the team, and you discover that they played 7 in their under-20s or such. Now, people will go, it's their under-20s. Listen, these boys are coming from high level. Some of these boys are out on loan at League 1 and League 2 clubs and having or on loan from these clubs at Bonnyrigg and then playing in a game against us. So these boys aren't just whipped off a street. These boys are all coming for a good pedigree. So we knew that was a tough game. So to go and win that game was good on the day. But I just think I think we shot ourselves in the foot in that cup. I think we beat Trinent. I think anybody watching it knows we were by far, and I don't even think it was close. I think we were by far the better team, and we should have put them to bed. But unfortunately, we never.
You could say that with both games against Trinent, but I think it was last season.
Aye.
Last season.
Last season, aye. and we missed.
Obviously the one at that point.
Aye, and I still remind him of it every day. Oh, terrible. But again, for me, let's take the positives out of this. We're sitting here talking about us. I'm saying to you, we battered Trinent. St Roch's battering Trinent in the Lowland League away from home. That for me is you've got to take the positives of this and go, listen, this is where we're getting to. This is where we're getting to now. We're getting to a point where we're fighting with Trinent in a cup tie. We're fighting with Johnston Borough in a cup tie. None of them have ran out of the tappies. Nobody's done that to us. So we've got to take the positives in that and go, listen, we're progressing and we're progressing well as a club, as a whole package. We're going the right way here. I know the fans that want it a wee bit quicker and they want a cup and they want something. It'll be odd, but just let's be patient and let's see where we can go in the next few years or however long we get to stay here.
So moving on to the League Cup then, the last cup. We got to the fourth round of that, putting out Carluke and Dalry before the Johnston Borough game, like you said, where we get beat. Walk us through that cup.
The Carluke game, I think we all know, was a bit of a farce, wasn't it? We went up there on a Monday night at 8 o'clock kickoff and it was absolutely frozen. Again, referees talked about calling that game 5 minutes before the kickoff. And aye. So it was 1-0. We won the game 1-0 and it could have been and should have been 6, 7 or 8. We're back to that thing again where I'm talking about clinical. Won the clinical enough in that game. We let Carluke stay in that game far too long. But we got through it. It happens. We got through it. Dalry, I know Big Chris. Big Chris is a good guy. Manager of them, very good guy. He moved to St Cadoc's, aye. And Chris is a good guy. I like him. I really like him. He's in it for the same reasons as me. He just loves football and wants to do the best for the boys. And that's great. But the Dalry game I knew that was going to be tough. I knew that was going to be a tough fixture because they were on a run and all. I think they were sitting at the top of the league at that point, doing really well. And we knew we would have to battle first. But what I was happy with that game is we'd done the business the right way. We just got in about them and worked hard and we got what we deserved with it. So that was good. I liked that. That was good. That was a good result. That Dalry were good. Yeah, Johnston Borough. Again, I've said it earlier on. We were happy with how we performed against Johnston Borough. Johnston Borough have got some of the best players in the country at junior level. Obviously at an expense, but they came here and done a job, and what they wanted with it, they got. But it took a wonder strike, an absolute wonder strike for wee Blair. Now I know wee Blair personally. I know, cracking wee guy, brilliant strike, worthy of winning any game of football. But again, we had chances in that. Again, we had chances, and again, no clinical enough. But am I going to sit here and knock my boys? I'm going to praise them because again, we're competing with one of the top, if not the top, junior team in the country financially, and we're giving them a fright. We're playing them, and we're giving them a good game. So again, let's be happy with. Listen, these are defeats, and understand that. You should never really be happy with defeats, but we need to take the positives out of it. Johnston Borough, we're competing with Johnston Borough. Let's be happy, man. We've given them a right good game. We've given Trinent a game. We gave these guys a game every time we play, so it's progress, and we're doing all right. Let's be positive.
There's another incident at the end of that game as well, where the equaliser chopped off.
Aye, absolutely, and again, listen, this is this wee bit of nous and a wee bit of smartness that you might get from the players that have maybe played at a higher level. Wee bit cuter. When the ball's in the net and the boy dives, he goes into he flings himself in as we connect with the ball. He then flings himself into the leg and screams as high as he can and gets with it what he wanted with it. I'll say it's absolutely garbage, but they'll say brilliant nows, got it right. They know how to play the game. That's that wee bit of smartness that we need to learn sometimes. That goes back to the same thing as goes back to the same wee bit where Joe Slee gets pushed in the back for the Meda free kick, And instead of going down, Wee Joe staggers for about 20 metres to try and stay on his feet because he wants to stay in battle. He wants to stay in the game. If he goes clearly down, he gets a free kick. The Borough boy, he goes down after the connection, knows how to play the game. These are wee smart things that we need to be picking up on and learn from. Oh, Joe's Lee all day. Nah, it'd be Joe. I'm blaming Joe. Joe, it's your fault.
Excellent, Nick. So move on to the VO. Also, that's a big investment for the club this season.
Yep.
How has that changed how you approach matches, and how does it help after a match?
So there's obviously the help for after matches is good for exactly what we're doing with a murder situation. So we get to points where you can send in video evidence to the SFA or the refereeing board or whoever may want to see it. Know that it's helping us. Aye, in the general terms of the VO, it's brilliant for right, so we'll be honest. So at the start, obviously, we've got the VO and we're still trying to learn it. And we're just taking the clips from it. And I'm sitting on a Sunday morning at 7 o'clock in the morning watching the full game back because that's all I can clip, because that's all we know how to do at that point. But it's brilliant because I can recognise faults in the game and I also recognise good things in the game, things that we've done well. So it's good for that. But then obviously your cell comes in and starts looking at the analytics side of it, and now we're starting to get the full booner, and that's brilliant. I mean, this is different class now, and now that I know all that's there, it's really, really good for me to look into, because we get to see things that maybe I didn't pay attention to enough. But now that we know stuff, we've got somebody who can work the VO and understand it, and then give me it in layman terms. It actually works perfect for us. And the other side of it is, it's bloody great for the Rock fans to watch the games back, isn't it? Aye.
So going on that then first, so there may be people out there that thinks that VO just records matches. Obviously, you touched a bit there on analytics. What sort of information are you getting out the camera?
Well, I'm getting everything out the camera. I can see percentages, final third, middle, our defence. I'm starting to see shots. It actually gives us some tips on where we're progressing well and where we're not progressing well. There's loads of stuff on this. There's even just player individual stuff is decent. So all the stuff that we're still learning at this point, because you're obviously no long in doing this for us, I can only see it being brilliant going forward for what you've brought to us in the last 3 weeks or so. So going forward, it's going to just take off as far as I'm concerned.
So just, you mentioned there the player bits. What does that mean? Tell us what that is.
Well, like so I can get a player cam, so it's just a player. So things that I might have picked up on during the game, I can then get you to clip that to me. It shows and lets me point the faults out to the player, or pointing out good things that you've done, and say, can we do this better? Can we do that better? It's giving me an opportunity, without having to go through a full game all the time, to actually see what the boys doing right and wrong. And that's massive, because if they pick it up, put it this way, we came down here after the Peter Saul defeat, and we spent the Monday night here watching it back, and I was still shotting all the clips that I knew was horrific from the Saturday, and the players all sat here, and there wasn't a player here left and went, that was good. They all got it. Shape of defence, first port of contact, second balls, communication, loads of different things that we picked up on, and I showed them, and they got it. They got it by looking at it. Just by the visually, it was enough for them to go, Jesus, was I really there? Why was I there? How was I there? The communication was poor. So there's lots of stuff that you can pick up off it, and it will definitely help you as you progress. There's no getting away from it.
So now that you get access to watch the film match, then obviously everything you can see from it, does that mean that you focus less on watching an opponent, whereas before you might go to watch another team, scout them, and then prepare your team that way, or do you just focus on now watching the video, the VO, and setting your team up?
No, I'm hands on deck, man. I'm definitely going to games if I can get to that game. I like to know what we're playing against. People, I've heard people listen. There's a million ways to skin a cat, as they say, right? And people get this with football. You can say, oh, play this formation, play that, and do this and do that, and everybody's got their own ways. For me, I've heard it before. Oh, only worry about yourself. Right, that's fine. If that's your way of thinking, that's fine. That's not how I think. I look at the opposition and I think, what have they got that's going to cause us problems? What's going to cause me an issue? What's going to cause your team an issue? Their best player might be in what I think is your weakest area. I then compensate for that to stop that happening. So I like to be hands on deck. I like to be at games. I like to see it like that. But I also don't mind having VO there if it can show me things that I can then look at over and over again, which I maybe didn't pick up on the first time. So again, listen, VO and what you're bringing to it with the analytical stuff and just the breaking down of it is, without a shadow of a doubt, going to help this club progress. There's nothing away from it.
You mentioned the obviously had players down here on the Monday night.
Yeah.
How often do you speak to the players outside the match days and training?
Listen, this is something that I think I would like to think that players know. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm all about the player. For me, it's all about the player, right? I'm interested in the boys on their lives and how they are. So if I could help somebody, I will. So it's important to me that we're not just here to. I'm not just here to be a Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. I would like to think that some of the boys talk to me out with that, and they know they do. Some of them do, and you're like a parent sometimes for 20 boys. But I wouldn't change it. I would never change it. That's the way I'm at. I've listened to guys who have got in now and they go and they say to me, like, I can't believe that you're so approachable to a conversation to be talking. Some of the managers of FUD don't talk to them. And again, I go back to what I said, there's different ways to skin a cat. Everybody's got different methods and how they go about their business. Some people might say I get too pally with players. That's your opinion, that's fine. It's never done me any harm up to this point. I've been doing it for long enough to understand one of the biggest factors of making a team work is by knowing the team you're working with. So I make it a point that we all stick together, and if I'm the glue to that to begin with, then that's what it is, and I'll make sure that I put everything into this, and I think the boys know that and they feel that, so it works for me. I've never had a problem with it up to now.
Finally, long one. There's a lot of proposed changes for the stadium, the pitch. Everything's obviously in planning stage at the moment. At the time, obviously, we're from this, we're not having meeting with members yet. Obviously, you can just say what you know. How is that going to benefit the squad, and will it change your style and setup?
Aye, so right, this is massive. So obviously we've had the problems with the park. So this club, any manager that's been here before me would be able to say the same thing. One of the things that stops me getting some of the players I go for is because they say they're not playing in that pitch. That's a given, right? This isn't something that was made up. Came before me and it comes now. I've spoke to several players when they go, I can't play in that. It doesn't suit my game, doesn't work for us. And by the way, it's not just about the park. It's the dimensions of the park too. The park's small. In width, it's really, really small. Really small. So it's not just about the actual ground itself. So that's an issue. It's an issue with getting a player. 100% it is. Style of play, I think anybody and everybody that knows me knows if we can get this pitch to become an Astro Park and big, then we'll definitely be one of the better football teams here. And I back myself on that because I know we can do it on an Astro. Done it for long enough. So that matters. Matters to how we play, absolutely it does. That's a given. But I think as a whole, the most important thing is if this club's going to go forward, and that's what we all want, and that's the goal, if the goal is to go forward and get to as high a status as we can, we need the Astro Park. The place needs done up. We know this. We look at it and I want nostalgia too, right? I want it to be, let's not forget the history of the club, that we've been here all this time. I get that, but we've got to move on. And to move on, we don't want to be paying Glasgow City Council £20,000 a year in training fees for us and the clubs below us. We don't want to be doing that. We want to be putting that into our own club. So if we get the Astro Park, we stop paying Glasgow City Council, we start using our own facility. That then generates the club to become stronger and bigger again. We then get the community playing here for nothing like they're paying at Bishop Briggs. The West Park's my second club. Some will say the first club. They're 40 and 50 quid a month for a young boy to play football. We as a community of Provenmore, Blackhall, Jemison, Royston, we're hoping that we can get this park in here and say to parents, like, you only need to pay half of that or less than half of that. So the community then gets grabbed in, which then gives the strength to the club to grow again. So we can then go to the simple stuff. We've got 6 games called off this season, we're in February. Highly unlikely any of the games would have been off if the park was Astro. So then your preparation is now absolutely preparing for the game being on, instead of Thursday starting to get squeaky bum because you think the rain might come on Friday and your game will not be on. The other part of that is momentum, like I said earlier on. Momentum would be running and flowing because we know the games are on. So there's the financial side, the playing side, the community side, the looking side. It's going to look so much better. Everything about it is a given. We need to understand this. I understand that some fans might be a wee bit upset. We're losing a bit of the nostalgia and we're losing a bit of our history. I think it's important that we look forward and no back. And if we're going to go forward, this is an absolute given. Let's no mess about. Some of the league games would be played on a Friday night if possible. Come on, who doesn't want that? A Friday night up here? That would be amazing under the lights. I think we all want a bit of that. So I think going forward, we need to understand that there will be change, but let's take the change and grab it and go, right, this is going to be brilliant. This place is going to look fantastic. The football will be better. The club's strongest it's ever going to be. This is a no-brainer for me. I get some of the fans will be a wee bit upset, but I think eventually you'll start to go, by the way, we're going to be a force, and we're doing it right. That's a big point. We're doing it the right way. We've not got some sugar daddy coming in and firing money at us. We're doing it correct. Is that not what we all want?
Very much. Good luck on Saturday.
Aye, no bother, my man.